What a really fine-looking group of Century Farm families and guests this evening. It is my pleasure, on behalf of the Williamson County Fair Association and the board, to welcome you again to this annual event where we get to visit and talk with farm families from all across the county. You know, the theme this year is Country Pride county-wide. And I can think of no group of people that is more representative of that theme than our Century Farm families that are all across Williamson County in every section. And they've been there since the county was formed, and some since the state of Tennessee was formed. So I'm Kenita Hankins, and it is my pleasure to say that we have a really great surprise for you this evening. I hadn't told anybody about this surprise, but we have the Century Farm representatives of Johnson Grass Farm, and you say, I've never heard of Johnson Grass Farm. Well, you probably heard of the Lampley Farm. That's what it was registered as for so many years, but they have asked to change it to Johnson Grass, and we are doing that. And so we have Lane and Carter Johnson, who are going to get this place going this afternoon. So put your hands together. Let's have a little music. Take it away, guys.
Amongst the flowers in the yard, and every number the auctioneer comes like a blow to her precious heart. And every number the auctioneer comes into nothing was sold that day. Till everything was auctioned, we stood there watching as they loaded and drove it away. And on that bus by the general store, they put up a little sign, an auction sale day after tomorrow at the end of May.
Lane and Carter Johnson. They'll be back to do another number for us. All right. Now, we are so delighted this year because we have a new Century Farm. It's been 2 or 3 years since we have been able to certify another one. We know they're out there. And I believe that Ms. Battle had something to do with this one, like taking it over and saying, you know, you need to sign this and get this in. So if any of you have neighbors that haven't sent their application in, perhaps some friendly persuasion and encouragement would be a good thing to do. But our new Century Farm is Aurelia Acres, founded 1810. And we are very pleased to have the owner, Mark Stewart, who is going to give us a few brief remarks about the history of his farm. Please welcome to the fold, Mr. Stewart of Aurelia Acres.
Thanks, ma'am. And a very sincere thank you to Rick Warwick and Libby Battle, who stayed on my case till I finally fill out all the forms, which I started probably 8 or so years ago, I don't know. But I would seem to get it lost in things and just not get it done. I'm a storyteller, and take you back to 1810, when my great-great-grandfather got, along with his brother, 300 acres, and they split it. Then later he bought the other 150 to make it 300 acres. And then so many heirs kept coming along and it got split down. And I'm not sure how many acres my grandfather had, because it got split 5 ways. And Uncle Will and Uncle Carl on Patton Road, which then went all the way around, and Cox came into it. Now Cox goes all the way around and Patton goes into it. They got acreage. My mother and her 2 sisters got the house, the barn, and 60 acres. And I grew up in Fort Payne, Alabama, but every month to 6 weeks we came up for the weekend. And I learned a lot about farming, and actually went to Auburn to study agricultural engineering. After a couple of years in ag engineering, I realized I like ag engineering, I don't like ag. I don't like engineering. And so I dropped out, which was fortunate, because when I came back, I met this freshman redhead. And I feel like God caused the whole thing to happen, and we got together. And when I graduated, we got married, and I started teaching school in Chattanooga, and my wife finished at University of Chattanooga. And we would continue to come back and visit at the farm, but not near as often. My grandfather, there was a 1-room cabin with a sleeping loft and a dirt cellar that my grandfather lived in. A little over 110 years ago, they added a 2-story in the front, which is what you see when you pass by on Patton Road going to the Arrington Vineyard, which is some of my grandfather's land also. Then in the early 30s, they attached the kitchen to the back of the house. And I don't remember the unattached, so it had to be done before 1937 when I came along. And I spent a lot of my childhood there, young years, because Dad was with the Tennessee Power Company, then TVA, and Mother, he'd be traveling, and Mother and I would stay there at the farm. And then, like I said, we came up all these weekends, and I left to go across the creek to Uncle Will's, because he had 2 boys older than I was. And I learned a lot about farming and mules, and picked up a lot of stories from those years over there. They added the 2-story, and I did not know it was a 1-room cabin until we started doing a little updating when we came along. how it got to be Aurelia Acres. My aunt, the last living one there, was Minnie Aurelia Patton. My son, who was living in Birmingham, who's an actor and not here tonight because he's performing out at Chafin's Barn Dinner Theater, and he said, let's name it Aurelia Acres for Aunt Minnie. And so we have. And I guess that was a good move because we're at the top of the alphabet, the first one on the list now. I think we're the 36th farm here, aren't we? 37th century farm. So I thought that was a pretty good move. I got to thank my wife also, because I never thought about living there. But Aunt Minnie named me her executor, and upon her death in 93, 4, we come up in hot summertime, and we're in there trying to sort of clear out the house and stuff, and my wife says, why don't we fix up this house and retire here? At that time we were living in Dothan, Alabama. And so I thought about it. I talked to Mother. She thought that would be a good idea. So I started purchasing it from her, and we started to redo the house. And that's when I found out about the sleeping law. I knew there was an attic, but until we took all the wallpaper down, I did not realize there had been a stairwell going up into the attic to go to the sleeping loft. And I knew there was a cellar with a fireplace in it. It had 2 entrances. They covered the original entrance up. When they added the kitchen on it, had to put another one to go down in there. And it's still all there. The house comes into the front hall, and to the right was the master bedroom, I'll call it. And up some very narrow, steep steps was the girls' bedroom. To the left was the parlor, then the back hall, and up some narrow, steep steps to the boys' bedroom, and what my mother always called the peddler's room. Said if a pack peddler was coming through and got there around close to supper time, he spent the night, moved on the next day. But you couldn't get from the girls' room to the boys' room without coming downstairs and going back up the other stairs. I also found the only insulation in the house was the wallpaper, which my mother had told me they put up because of they got tired of looking at the brown tongue and groove walls, which I'm enjoying looking at, to be truthful, when we took the paper down. And then we took the interior boards down on the exterior walls and insulated while we rewired and replumbed the house and put a bathroom upstairs and only one stairwell. The boys and girls can get together upstairs now, if it so happens, you know, but I don't worry about that. Don't have you boys and girls to worry about it with anymore. So it's been a privilege to live there. My wife loves sitting on the front porch, rocking and reading, watching the deer and the turkey go through the front yard. And she always said, and watching Mark cut the grass. And we had 10 wonderful years of 50 years of marriage right out there on the farm. Yet in 30 minutes we could be down, used to then, could be downtown for shows in Nashville. And I have seen since 2000 more concerts and stars and shows than I had the first 60-something years of my life all put together. So we thought we were as close to heaven as we could get and stay on this side. She decided it was time to go to the other side and left me. The day's going to come when I move, but Libby's come along, and like I say, she prodded me till I filled out all the proper work. And it's a privilege to be among the people who live in Williamson County, and I'm truly grateful for my forefathers, because I don't think I could afford to live here if I had to buy into it. Thank y'all. say 200 years, y'all. Second century. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Look for this out front soon.
All right, moving on. This year, the Williamson County Fair Board decided that they would support a new competition. And most of y'all got letters from me saying we're going to be doing a Century Farms video contest for the fair this year. And so we did have some good entries. And this contest was open to 9th grade through 12th grade in county schools, private schools, and home schools. And because the board is always promoting agricultural education, what better way to do it than to have high school students do a little research on a Century Farm, go out and visit that farm, interview the owners, and find out what has gone on there in the past and what is going on there today in agricultural production. So our panel of judges looked at these criteria: historical accuracy in research, videography, telling the story clearly and concisely and incorporating documents and historic photographs, and also interviews, and the creativity, how they put it together. Well, we had in our winners 2 very different types of videos, and both were very good videos that are winners. And we have one of those winners with us tonight. I'm so pleased. Her name is Dawn Neiman, and she's going to come up and tell you a little bit about the project that she undertook to video. So please welcome our first video Century Farm contest winner, Dawn Neiman.
Hi, I'm Dawn. My video was on the Bond Farm, so I did bluegrass and Bond Farms. The way I did my video was kind of like a documentary, so I had the interviews tell the story and how they did it, so they developed their own story instead of me telling the story. They told it in their own way. I really enjoyed working with the Bonds. They're family friends of ours, and I like to thank Alan, Carol, and Charles. They were really big supporters, and they helped me through a lot. This project was a blast. This was my first actual competition by myself. I work with WBHS 9 at Rowan High School, and I do a lot of competitions there, but this was my first one by myself outside school, and it was really fun. History is one of my favorite subjects, and why not do it with family, friends, and Tennessee history? Thank you.
Thanks.
Alan Bond, part of the Bluegrass Farms in the Bethesda community, and we run 150 head of mama cows. We run a cow-calf operation, and which means we'll raise the calves until around 600-700 pounds, and then we'll sell the calves off. We will keep about 20 replacement heifers to keep our herd right around the 150 mark that we'd like to have. The farm here is the original Bluegrass Farm homestead. It would be, with my daughters and my nephews, it would be a 6th generation farm for them. We just run it as a family operation, and it's just the way and it's very nice and therapeutic. You know, my brother and my father, we all have jobs away from the farm, and we do a lot of evenings, a lot of weekends, and still being able to make it productive at the same time. I have my wife, Mary Jo, and my 2 daughters, Samantha and Jordan. I have a brother, Robert, who has 3 sons, Preston, Will, and Connor, and his wife, Maureen. Then my dad is Charles Bond, and my mother is Carol Bond. From what I understand from the history is half the house was, the house was constructed during Reconstruction after the Civil War. And it started out as a 1-room log cabin, and then they built onto it the second year and had a breezeway that kind of went through, which is basically the front door of the house. And so these 2 rooms are log rooms, and then they built onto the back and then built the upper levels as the years went on. When we remodeled the back side of the house, 2004. Yeah, 2004 we remodeled, and we found when we cleared off the logs, we refurbished the original logs to bring the luster back in them. But we found horsehair and rock, and it's amazing what they used to chink the stuff back then, but it was still there. And but we kind of cleaned them up and had some newer material used besides horsehair and mud. Probably my specialty is probably equipment maintenance and equipment operations. It's plus taking care of the feeding of all the animals. We custom mix our own feed on site, so I take care of that. My brother and nephews, when it comes time to working cattle, they usually take care of that part. When it's time to cut and bale hay in the spring, it's kind of a all hands on deck moment, and everybody jumps in, and we spend about 2 weeks running wide open. It's a lot of late nights those weeks, but it's not too many of them. And everybody kind of has their own jobs that they're good at, and everybody pitches in and makes it happen. We work with keeping up with the genetics to make the beef cattle more efficient to go to market. One of the good things about having the girls in the 4-H livestock program is when we take them to the state show, we get feedback on the animals that we take, because they'll do ultrasounds and they'll weigh them, and it's kind of fun to see, how our meat grades out compared to everything else that we do, and we use that information that we get back from that to improve on what we have. The main farm is roughly 150 acres, which a good portion of it is hill and rock. There is some flat land that we do run hay crop on. We have 2 ponds that we put on the place. That the hills provide really good runoff to fill those ponds in the spring and the winter. So it takes care of watering our animals through the summers. We try to utilize every building we have for something. Freestall barn that when we had the dairy, cows would lay down in that freestall barn or eat silage. Now it's kind of a equipment shed and a place to store or keep animals that we're working that need a place to stay that we can sort out and make for easy loading and unloading for whether we're going to the market with them or taking them to a vet or need a place that they can heal up or get over any illness or ailments that they may have. We have the original dairy barn that's part of the farm, and the dairy barn that my dad and uncle built probably the early 70s, and we had it full operation up until probably 1998. Now it's just an empty barn right now. We utilize the old stables for calf barn and storing hay.
Yeah. Bluegrass Farms and one we call Bond Farm is really Grigsby Farm, but Bluegrass Farm was where the dairy was. That's where more of the activity of the farming was, as far as had sheep, hogs, poultry, dairy, beef, and all there, where the Bond Farm or the Grigsby Farm where we live today was a smaller farm, where it belonged to my grandmother and then my grandfather. They owned that farm, and this is where we live today. And it's only beef. Today we only run beef cattle here and cut hay on this farm. And they raised tobacco and milked cows, but it hadn't been it wasn't a modern farm like Bluegrass Farms was. Our farm is hill land, and it's not designed for raising corn, soybeans, and compared to farms and level land is. And in turn, we had dairy, but now we've got beef, and it's desirable as far as utilizing the pasture for the beef cattle and raise hay, and we raise alfalfa hay and grass hay. The way we got to this farm from that farm was my brother, he and I were operating together until '93, and he got married, and so he needed a house to live in when he got married. So we were living there on the farm, and it belonged to us together. So I bought 15 acres where we live here from my mother, and we built a house here, and he moved into that house. And then later on, he moved to another farm that we'd acquired, and therefore my son moved in up there when he got married. So that's how we ended up getting here. And I stayed here with my grandparents when there's a 100-acre farm here that belongs to them. And I stayed here a lot when I was up until I was 10 or 12 years old, stayed on that farm. There's a lot. Today your farms are more specialized than they were back when I was a boy in the 50s and 60s. Then it was more of a general farms where you had a little of everything: tobacco, corn, wheat, sheep, hogs, goats, a lot of it. Today we're more specialized as far as if it's a grain farm, or if it's a dairy farm, or if it's a beef farm. You don't have as many different enterprises today as you had then. The Business Act, I think that's the biggest thing as far as your equipment, get more equipment. It's more expensive, but you've seen it going more specialized compared to before when it was, and a lot of the farms before were a way of life back, and today it's more of a business of the farming today compared to at that period of time. They all, at that time, they'd have a few hogs to kill, raise a big garden, chickens for eggs, and where today you buy those things at the grocery and you specialize in one thing, either beef or dairy. It's the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and plan for the future, what you're going to do tomorrow. Think about today, what you're going to do tomorrow, and expand for the future as far as buying and expanding and increasing the size of the farm, the size of the operation. And this is probably the most important part of it. Well, it's been a way of life for the entire life. It's been a good life. Can't complain. It may not have been the most prosperous at times, but it's been good. It's kept us busy and kept food on the table and other things that are enjoyable for life because of farming.
Thanks so much, Dawn. We had two other winners, and I do want to mention them. They are Katie Burnside and Emma Halliday, who worked together on a video of Bud's Longview Farm that's owned by Dan and Phyllis Bond.
Tennessee Century Farms program recognizes those families who have owned and farmed the same land for over a century, and also documents and interprets the state's history and culture of farming. Possessing some of the best farmland in Tennessee, Williamson County lies within the Great Basin of Middle Tennessee. Welcome to Bud's Longview Farm, farming since 1900, when bought by Walter Anderson during an auction. Walter Anderson was the highest and best bidder on this land. S.P. Anderson renovated this farm by building a double-story farmhouse to provide shelter for his family. Walter Anderson, Thomas's son, married Elizabeth J. Bond in December of 1894 and had 8 kids, but sadly only 6 of them survived into adulthood. Walter B. Bond inherited half of his father's farm whenever he passed. This farm views over 10 miles of farm, while being 800 feet above sea level. This farm contains more than 100 cattle. One of his cattle was featured in the very first Williamson County Fair. From Bud's Longview Farm, there is a view of the Cool Springs area, and years ago, this whole area used to be a mill farm. This farm produced various of things, including tobacco, hay, grains, alfalfa, cotton, while also raising hogs and Jersey dairy cows. During the times of the Civil War, soldiers came and walked across this farm to get to the Battle of Franklin and where they needed to be. This land was used as a transportation mode for many different purposes. The year of 1940 was an important year for the Andersons. Walter Sr. was elected to the Tennessee House of Representatives, and the old farmhouse was equipped with electricity that year. In addition, Walter served on the school board and was the road commissioner. and was an elder in the New Hope Presbyterian Church, where he taught Bible class. In 1958, Walter died and left the farm to his children, Bess and Bud, and both were unmarried and had helped their parents run this farm since 1940. Bess Anderson died in 1992, so her brother Bud inherited the rest of the farm. Bud died in 1992 as well, and his other siblings and other family members put it up for auction. Dan, employed by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture and cousins to Walter Anderson's children, is also associated with the Bond Century Farm, and his family purchased 60 acres. This family, the Bonds, bought 60 acres, then lost 18 to the government for the building of the interstate. Dan and his wife, Phyllis, work on the farm, grow hay, and support the cattle. They volunteer and serve on the boards of the Williamson County Fair, Williamson County Farm Service Committee, Williamson County DHIA Board, and Williamson County Livestock Association. Like their parents, Dan and Phyllis were also involved in 4-H as children and are now engaged in several agriculture-related programs in the region and the state. Their beautiful 60 acres consists of many different things, including hundreds of cattle, a beautiful tall standing house, and a gorgeous red barn. The tallest tree on their property, and most of all, the best view a farm can offer. Annabelle, the oldest cow at their farm, was entered into the very first Williamson County Fair, and she has received many blue ribbons across the years for her participation into the fairs. She was born in 1999 and has no teeth. She's just enjoying life and sitting pretty. This Longview Farm, named to honor the late Bud Anderson and the farm's history, is the 38th Tennessee Century Farm certified in Williamson County. It is called Longview because the farm has a large view of the farm scoping over a long land. Views include the WSM Tower over 10 miles away south of Brentwood. To this day, Dan and his wife Phyllis still work and farm on this gorgeous farm with the help of a little buddy named Short Round. From this farm, a gorgeous and astonishing view of the sunset appears glowing behind the mountaintops with breathtaking views, and it makes for even greater pictures. The sunset is so large and beautiful that you can see it miles away as it flows down through the hills and acres of farmland. Emma and I were lucky enough to capture these amazing pictures because once the sun starts setting, it sets quickly and beautifully. The Tennessee Century Farms program was created in the year 1975 by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture as part of our nation's bicentennial celebration. This organization recognizes the dedication and contributions of a select group of people who have owned and farmed the same land for 100 years or more, and it has a farm from every single one of Tennessee's 95 counties. It is also a way to document and interpret agrarian history in Tennessee, specifically in Williamson County. The Tennessee Century Farm Program has certified 1,328 farms across the state since 1975. These cows love their home because it stretches on for miles and has a breathtaking view. Sadly, what they do not like is humans trying to go up to them and pet them. This large number, 133 farms, are 200 years or older. 597 are between 150 and 200 years old, and 598 are 100 to 150 years old. The earlier the farms became a part of this organization, the more money they received from it. The Century Farms Act is a documentary program that collects and interprets the history and culture of the state. Families or groups of people can choose whether or not to be part of this large, fascinating program. This program places no restrictions or laws on the people's farm. Older farms give big thanks to technology, as it has made farming easier for the next generations to come. Agriculture is not only a big part of Tennessee's economy, it's a big part of the landscape of our state. One farmer says that while Tennessee is growing and developing rapidly, it's important to recognize the state's agriculture and rural roots. Farmers from the past say that they hope their farm stays exactly where it is, so their grandchildren of many generations to come can have and live on the same farm that they did, where they grew up in the past. Without the help of this organization, Century Farms would not be as praised as they are today, and with our help, they will never be forgotten. Without the program, some farms may disintegrate and stop producing, and farmers wouldn't be able to do what they love and want in life: farm.
We thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to bring this farm alive and make a video about it. Thank you to Dan and Phyllis Bond for spending time giving us information and teaching us the way farms operate. They were so helpful with explaining to us how farms work and how important they are to this state and nation. Century farms are very important and people should take the time to learn about them.
And Katie, I'll let you get away a little bit quickly because I do have something for you. And if we can get Mayor Rogers Anderson up here to give you your check, we will be happy to. You know, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. This week you may see him most anywhere. He is the chair of the Williamson County Fair Board and also our county mayor. So Don, if you will come up, the mayor wants to say a few words of welcome to all of you, and then he will give you your check.
Thank you.
Make sure you give it to her now.
Okay.
Does it say to you?
It says to me. No, it says my signature. Well, thank you all very much for all of the involvement that each of you have in our county. And it's so good to see everyone here, particularly the Century, all the Century Farm folks. Although I'll never have that, it is an honor that we appreciate very much in our county and for what you mean over the history of this community. So Dawn, come on up here. She is, we are giving her a check today. Can I say how much it's for? For $250 for your wonderful smile and attitude and everything that you have done. Thank you very, very much. Would you like to say a few words?
I really enjoyed this project. I had a lot of fun, and I won money. That was really fun. That's probably the least thing I did.
Well, I probably cut her short. She did a video, and have you seen it yet, or have they? They have not seen it, but it's just wonderful. So thank you very much for participating, and it's always nice to receive money. We never get too old for that. Thank you very much. So I want to say thank you for being here tonight. Hope you enjoy the meal, and come on up today. We just don't say enough about her either, how hard she works during the off season, and we really do appreciate everything you mean to us and our whole organization, but particularly this has been your love as long as I can remember, and thank you for doing that. Thanks for all of your involvement, and hope you have a good meal. What are we eating? What have we got back here to eat a little bit? Hamburger? Hamburgers? Pork chops. Pork chops or hamburger. So we hit both sides of either the hog or the beef. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it. All right. I do want to say that we wish we could have shown the videos, but this space just does not lend itself to either seeing it very well with all the group or hearing it very well. These videos will be on the cable access county channel. We hope we can link them from the fair website, and also copies are going into the county archives. So there will be opportunities for you to see them. We anticipate that we will have this contest run for another few years, and we hope to have more participation because, as Dawn says, you do get money if you win. All right, now we'll move on to our roll call, and Sue is here. this evening. That's always a pleasure. And some people I get to speak to beforehand, and some people I don't catch and know that you're here until this goes on. So yes, 37 century farms in the county, county-wide, and country pride in every single one of them. So we know that our new one, Aurelia Acres, and yes, it did come right up there at the top. Yes, excellent. All right, are the Fishers here? Is Susan here with Bag End? Don't think they made it this year. And Beach Hill Farm, one of our pioneer century farms, the Battles are here. Yes, excellent, good to see you. Bledsoe Sullivan Farm, there you are. Yeah, I did see you come in, you snuck in, good to see you. From way over, almost in Dixon County, so yeah. And then Bluegrass Farm. Okay, Alan's here. Great. Yeah, and thank you for working with Dawn on that. It was a wonderful video, and you know, you talk real good. All right, and Bud's Longview Farm, Dan and Phyllis are here, and thank you for working with the other two young ladies on theirs. That was wonderful, and they had such great videography of the landscape and the views at your spot. So thank you very much for helping them out with that. And then the Bond Farm, which of course is Charles and Carol. Don't believe anyone's here from the Cannon Farm. Cedar Creek Farm, are the Marlins here? Did I miss the Marlins? There they are. Yeah, whole table full of them. Yes, yes. How many generations have you got tonight, Diana? Oh, just 3 tonight. Okay. That's great. All right. And Miss Ryan? Did Miss Ryan make it tonight? Miss Dorothy Ryan? Okay. Perhaps not. And the Littles from County Line Farm also have a table right down here. And thanks to Mary Linton Little, she's responsible for doing our flowers and table decorations, and also for the beautiful quilt. If you didn't see the quilt back there that she did, gorgeous. So thank Mary for sprucing this place up. And the Gentrys, I know they're here. There they are, the Charles Gentrys from out in the Nolensville area. Do y'all say Nolensville or Arrington or Triune? Triune. Okay, there's a world of difference if you live there. World of difference. And Glen Acres, are Calvin and Sandra here? Maybe not. Okay. And we know that the Johnsons are here, Johnson Grass Farm in Fairview. Don't believe that anyone from Longview is here this year. The Rings, I saw the Rings come in from Locust Guard Farm. Yeah. Right. And the Lusters I know are here. I saw them come in as well. Yeah. Almost a table full back there. Yeah. And you've got what? 3 generations? 2 generations? 3, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, 3 generations. Excellent. And Jane, is Jane Bond Giles? There she is. Yes, looking right at her. She has 4 generations with her this evening. And Jane owns the Lorraine and Mary Bond. Is that the newest one that you're holding up there? Woo-hoo! New Century Farmer coming along. Excellent. Yeah, Jane owns the Lorraine and Mary Bond Farm as well as the William Still Farm. Maple Crest, is Lynn here this year? He is here this year. And I know that John Lee is not here this year, but he came on the radio with me. Did any of you hear John on the radio talking about Century Farms? Okay. And the Nichols, Agnes and Crook, there they are, back there. Very good. Good to see you. Where am I? Nobody's here from the Osborns. Miss Wallace is here. I know she's here somewhere. There you are. Good. Yes, with her family, Miss Elaine. And I see Cindy and Alan in their matching t-shirts. Very cute. Pleasant View Farm. Good to see you. Janice here with Sherwood Green. Don't think so. Jeff's back there. Jeff Holt from the Smith Brothers Farm. All right, and Stacy Gibbons from the Sullivan Gibbons Farm over in Fairview is here as well. All right, and Valley View, Sharon and Carrie didn't make it. Okay. Westbrook, Jane, William Steele, Willow Run. Ace couldn't be here this evening from Wilson. John Kinney is here from Woodland. John, you've been here all week. Every time I've been here, you've been here. What do you do? What do you do here? All I ever see you doing is walking around.
Checking the field crops and working a little bit more.
All right. Checking in the field crops, making sure nobody steals any of that alfalfa. All right, and Woodland View, the Herberts, there they are right there. Yes, I saw them coming in. Also, our two folks who live in Williamson County but own Century Farms in other counties. Pam Tenpenny and Mr. Neely, who own the Neely Farm in neighboring Hickman County. We're always glad that you can come. And the Hutchinsons, Marilyn Hutchinson, hi Marilyn, who is the owner of the Powell Farm in Morgan County. And we're very glad to see you here. And we were very sorry to hear of your mother's passing, but so blessed that the farm is going to stay in the family. Excellent. So, and also I want to mention the fair board members. You know, every year they say, yes, we will do the Century Farms dinner again. And I know at least 3 of them are here. One is Judy Hayes. Judy, thank you for your support of farms and farmers. Cherry Lane Darkin is here. And Lee Sanders, who is the chairman of the Agricultural Committee. And I got to brag on Lee for just a minute. If you go back and see our Century Farm exhibit, which is across the arena on this mezzanine, just almost directly back there, it's between the honey and the master gardeners. You will see this very fine lighted map of Williamson County. Each light represents the location of a Century Farm. So it's very great addition to the exhibit, and I think we'll be able to use it in other ways too throughout the year. So thanks to Lee for designing and building that. So take a look at it, and if you got your farm in the wrong place, just keep quiet. Because I don't think he's going to redo it, and I don't blame him. All right, are there any other fair board members here that I may not have spotted? Because I do want to thank them very much. All right, we're running good here on our time then. All right, I have some door prizes, just a few, 1 or 2. And what I have is every one of the farm names in here. So I'm going to ask, would you like to come up and draw? Help me? Yeah, okay, good, thank you. This is Cadence, everybody. And who do you know?
She's with Dorothy Ryan's farm.
Oh, she's with Cedar Lane Farm 1.
Great granddaughter.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Let's see. First, we're going to give away a water bottle. Everybody needs water bottles all the time. Okay. So, Cadence, pull one out. Pleasant View Farm. You know, you need a lot of water when you're working in an old farmer's village, don't you? And then we'll give a nice coffee mug, Williamson County Fair coffee mug. Longview Farm. Bud's Longview Farm. Do you not know the name of your farm, Dan?
Well, you didn't put buds in front.
Well, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I got tired of typing.
Glad to get there.
And that'll keep you awake on that drive to Nashville every
Very
morning.
much so.
Yes. So next we have one of our fine t-shirts, one of the long sleeved ones from this year. And I'll pull this one out. County Line Farm. I don't know who's going to get to wear it, but I'm going to let Mary just figure that out. All right. Those are really nice. I bought one of those. They're very, very good. Very good. All right. And I tell you what, I was going to give these away as door prizes, but I decided that I was going to give these to our musicians. What do you think? You think that's okay? All right. We also have the Century Farm, Williamson County Century Farm pencils. We first gave these out last year, which means you have probably used all of them by now. And if you would like to get another set, it is school time. And of course, only Century Farmers can use these. Nobody else can. The lead breaks if someone else tries to use it. Thank you, Cadence, for your help. I appreciate it. And please give Miss Dorothy our best. We miss her this year. All right. Okay, we're running just on time, and I'm going to ask Terry Lane Darkin to, if she will, to come up and give our Thanksgiving.
Will you pray with me? Our Father, we're very grateful that you as our Creator have given us land and plants and animals and water and sun. But most of all, we're thankful for the people who have worked your land. We're thankful for our ancestors who settled on these century farms many years ago. We're thankful for those who have lived and worked on those farms all through the ages. We ask your blessings on our farm families, that they will be able to sustain these farms into the future. We thank you tonight for the fair and the opportunity to showcase agriculture for those who might not know much about it. We thank you for the opportunity to be together tonight, to share, to have a good time. We thank you for those who grew our food and raised it and cooked it and prepared it and served it. We thank you that we are blessed to be a blessing wherever we go. Amen.
All right, it looks like they're ready for us to eat. And please show your appreciation to the Williamson County Cattlemen's Association, who every year prepares and serves the food for this event. Thank you so much. So, I'm not going to tell you which table gets to go first. So I'm just going to let you work that out yourself. And it looks like that you can start up at that end and come down and work your way back. And I hope that you have a wonderful evening visiting and that you enjoy the fair. And I look forward to seeing all of you at this event next year. Keep those farms in the family. And I'm going to ask Lane and Carter to come back up and play another number or two for us if they will.
Since I left my home in Holler where I was born, where the cool from nice big woods were bright and fox under roses horn. I fell in love with you. I thought that you would be true. I made her way to Charlottesville and worked in a sawmill or two.
I hate it because always